Hey fur friends! Kayla here with Docs Design, a design studio for the pet industry. Welcome to our webinar series all about mastering your brand. This month's speaker is Claire Wolfson, creative director and founder of BeanGoods, a cheeky and colorful clothing brand inspired by her dachshund Bean. Over the past 7 years, Claire went from working a 9-to-5 corporate design job to going full-time with her brand in 2013, something we all dream about. Claire credits her success with BeanGoods to tapping into a highly focused niche she personally was passionate about and creating designs that stand out amongst the sea of tacky dog-inspired products we all see on the internet. BeanGoods now currently has a social media following of over 60,000 devoted customers and fans, and our online shop is consistently generating over 6 figures in sales yearly. Notable celebrities like Carly Kloss have even been spotted sporting this doxy gear, which I think is pretty cool. Most recently, Claire has been sharing business tips and words of wisdom through a variety of educational platforms and private consulting. And today, we're getting all that information for free. So I'm beyond excited for all of you guys to hear from Claire. Let's get this party started. Hey everyone, we have Claire Wolfson with BeanGoods with us. Hey Claire, how you doing today?
Hi, good.
Awesome. I appreciate you taking your time to do this webinar with us. Want to start, and I ask all of our participants the first question, let's start by talking about your start. Because a lot of the people that we have watching this webinar, they're in the beginning phases of their business. And I think they really look up to businesses like yours and think, I need to get there right away. And in all reality, we all had to start somewhere. So can you tell us a little bit, a brief overview of your guys' business journey and how you got to where you are?
My background is in apparel design, and my husband's is in graphic design. So way back in 2011, I think it was actually when we started the idea of BeanGoods. We were both still working corporate design jobs, and we started it just as like a super simple project, and came up with our logo that we actually still use till today. And my husband works actually at Budweiser, corporate Budweiser, and he was able to like print these random little like hang or like label type of things. So he just printed those at his work, and we cut them out and like turned them into little labels, and I started sewing them on beanies. And our brand originally was called Bean Beanies.
Oh my goodness.
And so that's literally the only product that we had were like these beanies with our little like our little logo on it. And from there we started like experimenting with like a couple other designs. Like we added tote bags and eventually added t-shirts, and that's when our brand really started to take off. But in between all of that, I was the first one to quit my job. I worked at Columbia Sportswear, as a designer, a large sportswear company, and quit that job back in 2012, and was kind of like lost there for a little bit. I actually was going to go to grad school, and I just knew that I didn't want to be in the confines of a fuzzy cubicle. It was just so uninspiring for me. And so I knew I needed out of that. And we had this like BeanGoods project thing going on, but it wasn't like, it was like a full year. Like I dipped into grad school and I went for like 1 week, and that wasn't right for me. I freelanced for a little bit, but yeah, I got approved for this thing where like, you can be building your business while getting unemployment.
Oh, okay.
So that was really sweet. And so that kind of like allowed us to, Chris was still working full time, but that sort of allowed us to start really working on our brand in 2013, while still getting like a little bit of income from unemployment. I took like some business classes through the Small Business Development Center. They have them like all over the United States. I'm sure. Are you familiar with?
Yep, I am.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I took like some basic business courses through the Small Business Development Center, and like did a business plan and all of those like official things. I haven't looked at that business plan and probably since I created it, but it helped me sort of like build the framework and have somewhere to jump off of,
Yeah.
and get a little bit of guidance as well. So yeah, 2013 is when we really started cooking, and we added like our first collection of t-shirts, and that's when we were like, oh, okay, like
People
we
love
actually,
this.
yeah, I was like, okay, we actually have something here, like um let's do this.
That. I think that's a really good story for people to hear because, like I said, I know so many people get lost in the world of social media and they look up to these pet businesses that have these large followings and they're getting frustrated that they're not there in their first year of business. And I think it's really important for people to realize to be able to master your brand, you need to go through those steps that you were talking about. It kind of a lot of the times is a happy accident almost where you don't realize that it's becoming this huge brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like we started, like the inspiration behind the brand actually goes back even further. It started when he suffered from IVDD, which I'm sure you're familiar with since you have weenies.
Yep.
Um, it's a pretty common uh, disease that happens in wiener dogs, and Bean became like fully paralyzed back in like 2009, I believe it was. So he went through the full surgery and everything. And originally we wanted to develop a harness um, that like would support their backs and stuff. But my background's not in like veterinary
Yeah.
stuff, and neither is Chris's. So we wanted to do something to like honor Bean,
Yeah.
and like his recovery and everything was like actually super inspiring. And so yeah, that's kind of like where we started like this like business idea surrounding Bean and like dachshunds and stuff like that. So
I
it
love
goes
that.
back even a little bit further.
Yes, and I love that. And that kind of segues into my next question because I think something that's so interesting about your brand, like why I wanted to pick you to be a speaker on this topic of niching down. And I think niching down could be a pretty scary thing. I know when I decided to open up my design studio, when I said I was only going to design for pet businesses, I was terrified that I was like cutting out this whole other market. And I think it can be scary for a lot of business owners, especially in the pet industry, to really hyper focus in on a specific target. And everyone likes to say like, oh, my target market is dog moms. But really what makes a brand successful is when you start to think about what dog mom you're targeting.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping you could talk a little bit about how you were able to establish your niche of doxy moms. And I know you're a dachshund owner, but what I think you do so well is you take it a step further. Your guys' business uses this tagline, which I love, and actually I think is what made me follow you guys on social media. You say, "Not your grandma's dachshund shop," and that is being very specific, and you're obviously trying to focus on a specific type of dachshund mom. So how has that helped your business grow, and how are you able to really like hone in on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we first started, we noticed like in the market in general, that like all dachshund teas, and because I mean we don't, this was this was a while ago, so this was before like the huge like dog mom like dog mom AF and like stuff like that was
Yeah.
even like out there. But back then even it was even more cheesier online in terms of like dachshund uh, themed t-shirts and pretty much anything, but mostly like the graphic tees I often find to be just like not hip, like they seem like something that like a grandma would wear maybe.
That's
Like
the tagline.
yeah, exactly. So we wanted to create something that was for like our age group, and also just people that have a good sense of style and design and appreciation for that as well. So yeah, that's kind of how we we started just designing stuff that we thought was cool and fun and kind of like edgy, and have just kind of stuck with that throughout since the beginning. And yeah, I don't know. I think that that's what separates us from a lot of dog themed brands and dachshund themed brands, is that we always try to be like edgy and cool, and I don't know, stuff that we would wear.
Yeah, you stay true to your target audience, which I think is really
Yeah.
important. And when a brand excels is when they do that. I guess I'd be curious. You said like you put together a business plan and stuff like that. Did you ever put together like, oh, this is my target dog mom, or even if it wasn't in the beginning stages, maybe like now that you're getting more into the analytics and stuff of your business, do you guys kind of have like those archetypes that you are like, oh, we know who our core audience is, like we know this is going to do good with them?
Yeah, we did do a little bit of that in the beginning, in the super beginning stages, and I've done a little bit of it, like throughout. But I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't gotten like hardcore. Like I see some people's like brand Bibles and stuff that like,
Are
they,
massive.
yeah, and they're like super like, there's like a ton of thought into it, and to be honest with you, I haven't, we don't have a brand Bible. I just kind of, it's kind of like in my head. Um, I have been working with, this is a little bit of a side note, but I have been working with a business coach this whole year. And when I started working with her, I did do like a ideal customer and stuff like that. And I actually picked a couple of our current customers
It's a great
that are like,
part.
that I actually know them and they're wonderful and they're like our ideal customers. So those are the target customer that we hope to have more and more of.
Yeah, I think that's a really good starting place for people listening now. And they might be thinking, like, I know that we have a ton of people who follow us who have like Etsy shops that create like bows for dogs or bandanas for dogs. And a lot of that kind of drips into human apparel. And I think now, like you said, the market is so saturated. There's so much dog stuff. It's really getting down, like you said, to the core of like what you are and like what you believe in and what you want to put out into the world. And if you, a good place to start is with your current customer base and look in what customers do you enjoy, what customers do you really connect with, and starting there. And it's as simple as like reaching out to them and asking them like, hey, what was the like couple of products we put out that you really love? Like that could be a great starting place for businesses just starting out to kind of grow from there. So one thing we both have in common is we're both creative directors of our own company. And while I'm a service-based one, what I've always found so intriguing about product companies is how they continue to come up with new ideas. So just in case any of you listening aren't familiar with the way BeanGoods works, Claire and her business, they pretty much launch like monthly collections, which Claire, you can talk a little bit more about that with the question. So each month there's different designs they do. They just recently started implementing an adoption series where each month they create a new design and a portion of the sales go to a certain charity or shelter that helps dash hounds, which I think is awesome. So I'm just wondering how you guys keep up the creative energy at BeanGoods and how you're able to try new designs while still keeping in mind like your core audience and staying true to them. Has there ever been a time where your audience has kind of pushed back and felt like, hey, this isn't really BeanGoods? And how do you kind of like balance that of staying fresh and new, but also staying relevant to your target audience?
2018, we actually were like going crazy with bringing new designs like constantly. And constantly launching is, to be honest with you, very, very exhausting. So we're trying to find a balance between continually adding fresh, exciting, new goods to our site, but also not experiencing burnout on our part.
Yeah.
So in 2018, we were doing like almost everything. We switched to doing almost everything print on demand. And that was like a new business model for us, one that we didn't have any experience with. And we kind of like dove head in, not really knowing what we were doing. And it was awesome because like we were getting like tons and tons of sales. Like our sales were great, but at the end of the year, we realized that our profit margins were not very healthy. So anyways, leading into 2019 is when I started working with my business coach, and where we found a balance of constantly launching. And so we've slowed back on the constantly launching, but we do our monthly teas, as you mentioned, our adoption teas. So that's something that's new, that's coming every month. And then we've also, we have so many designs over the years. We have started to like bring back oldies but goodies. But yeah, in terms of staying like inspired, like us staying inspired and being able to continue to create new stuff, my husband, Chris, who is our graphic designer, like he honestly, I can't keep up with his creativity. Like he's just constantly coming up with new stuff. So we don't really have a problem with coming up with like new and exciting things. We look at like pop culture and like try to turn everything dachshund
Yep.
themed. That's like something that we've always done. And yeah, but honestly, he's like the most creative person I know. So there's never a lack of like new ideas and stuff.
How do you vet those new ideas? How do you know when, like, I know I've seen, if you guys aren't a part of Claire's Facebook group and you're a dachshund owner, you should definitely join it because it's like one of my favorite groups. I check it like weekly. It makes me very happy to see all those dachshund pictures. But I've seen you like post in there before, also like showing people designs and kind of vetting them in the community you have built, which is really important, and kind of saying like, hey, which ones do you guys like? But before you had the community, so people maybe just starting out who don't have like that large following, how did you kind of vet those designs? Did you have
Yeah,
that wasn't doing good and you pulled them, or?
that's a great question. I forgot about that part. So yeah, we definitely will sort of tease new ideas that we have. We actually I just did this the other day because I saw you commented on it too, of our little hello weenie sticker.
Yep.
So a lot of the times we'll come up, and stickers are like, we've done stickers on and off, but this year we like have gone hardcore with stickers, and it's been like really awesome. That's a side note, but a lot of the times we have been starting we'll just post the graphic, like before we had the Facebook group, I would often post like on stories or even just as like a regular feed post, and kind of like not even really say anything about it, like, hey, this is coming soon or whatever, just like post it with kind of like an unrelated caption and see what the reaction is from our audience, and kind of like use that as, are we going to create product with this design or not, type of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Also, and I struggle with this myself, being a business owner, that you feel like you have to get all the details and everything perfect before you post anything on social media. When in all reality, that can give you the data you need to know, like,
Yeah.
this product isn't going to do good because it got 2 likes, or like it's so not everything has to be perfect all the time before you put it out into the world. So if you're watching this and you're sitting on a business right now and you're like scared to launch it because you don't think you have everything, just start, just do it and put it out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes, so with the sneak peek type of thing, or like the vetting, whether a design is we're going to go forward with it or not, sometimes we will get like crazy good feedback on a design, and then we'll put it on a product and like it won't do that well. So like you kind of never know. You just have to, like, it goes with what you just said before, is like you just have to put stuff out there and see if it works or not, and if it doesn't, don't let it, just keep going, just
Yeah.
keep just put the next thing out there, you
Yeah,
know?
don't get discouraged. I mean, like you guys just heard Claire's journey in the beginning. Like you just have to keep pushing through, and you just have to keep doing.
Totally.
Love that. So one thing your brand does really well that caught my eye is your tone of voice and your visuals, obviously, which is why I have you on here, because every brand I'm interviewing just has great visuals. And you, like you said, you guys are always clever and edgy, and I definitely think it speaks to a certain market for sure. But besides being uber creative, you are quite the businesswoman. I follow Claire on her personal Instagram as well. And as I mentioned before here, she's starting to get into the world of consulting and educating. And I always see you on Instagram talking about metrics and different platforms you use to reach your audience. So can you tell us your number one way you market yourself to your niche and what works for you? And how do you make sure that you stand out against the sea of paw prints and generic dog brands? You've had quite the experience in your business, and I know that you're educating other people and consulting. So I'd be interested to hear from a marketing perspective what your number
Yeah.
one thing is.
This is my favorite thing to talk about.
Love it.
So yeah, marketing is definitely like one of my favorite parts of owning BeanGoods and just being an entrepreneur in general. And I really love talking about this and like helping other brands and entrepreneurs who like are just getting started, or maybe they are like in the midst of it and haven't figured out like certain things that I have, and like you can just learn so much from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the number one marketing tools or platforms that we use are definitely email marketing. And just this past year, we've been doing SMS marketing, which has been amazing. So yeah, definitely email. And we use Clavio. I like don't know how to pronounce it, but we recently switched over to that, which is a email, what is the word for a CRM that is built specifically for e-commerce brands. So we that's been really great and amazing, and also SMS has been amazing for us. So I would say that those are our two biggest marketing platforms. And then of course I would say kind of in tow with that would be Instagram. Yeah. And I would say what sets us apart, I think like just like our just being edgy in general with like our brand language. And then certain little things that I do are adding like fun little gifts to the end of like all of our emails. Well, not all, but a lot of our emails will have like fun little gifts that kind of like give your list like a reason to open the email, even if they're not going to buy something. Like they're like, oh, I need like a pick me up today. I'm sure there's something funny and cute in here.
Yeah.
I'm going to open this email. Yeah. And then like with I'm super new to SMS marketing, but have been
just in case someone doesn't know what that is, that's text messaging. I mean, everyone knows, but just in case.
Yes. So I'm super new to text marketing, but have been doing it consistently for the past year. And I think like what sets us apart in that area is just I sort of try to come across like I'm texting like a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I always like sign it with my name. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, I love getting all your guys' emails. Like you said, the gifts are great, especially like you have created this niche of dachshund moms, and obviously you want to see pictures of dachshunds. So when you've created your brand around something like this that you know it's like people are really connected to and love, like that gives you content to use to communicate to your audience.
Yeah, definitely. And then, okay, one other thing that I want to add is a couple other really awesome marketing tools, I guess. Our Facebook group, which is like so much more than a marketing tool. Like it's a community. We're like a year and a half into having a Facebook group, and that's been super huge for us with growing the know like and trust factor, and just building a real community. And one other thing is our We Ambassador brand reps.
Yeah,
That has been huge for us.
that I'm technically a part of, but horrible at. So if you guys ever want to shop on BeanGoods and you guys are watching this right now, use Kayla 10 for 10% off.
But that has been really, really, really great for us. Like, for instance, for like our Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like the whole sales marketing time during that, our brand reps brought in like 15% of our sales during that time. So it's that's great. That's like 15% that we wouldn't have unless we had our brand reps as our team members. So that's been really cool. I consider our brand reps like legit, like employees, like team members for us. And it's been not only cool for like an additional marketing channel, but also it's allowed me to get closer to some of our like die-hard BeanGoods customers. So that's been really cool as well. It's like this new like relationship that I have with like our number one hardcore BeanGoods customers.
I love that. Yeah. And again, I mean, the way you do your marketing is so genius because everything flows into each other and you have all of your We ambassadors and you have your audience producing so much content for you. And I think that's also one thing that's really, you do really well. And why I think so many people follow you on social media is you do such a good job of like sharing people's pictures and sharing the We ambassador pictures. And it's always like, is my dog going to get featured in this Instagram? So just really like staying connected to your niche and staying connected to your community. Okay, Claire, like I said, your brand really just gets it. And I'm clearly a fan, being a Doxy lover myself, and everything you post on social media and like every new design you launch, it just makes me feel like you get me being a dash on mom. And I think at the end of the day, that is what branding and a brand is all about. Speaking directly to your ideal customer's heart and bringing them into your community, which you are clearly doing right because you have over 60,000 loyal Doxy moms following you, which is just insane. And clearly you work really hard to get to that number. However, I think businesses just starting out forget that it takes a while to get to that point of really feeling like you've honed in on your business, whether that's your tone of voice or your visual brand or your target market. And like you've mentioned in your beginning journey, a lot of us, I feel like in the first years of business are kind of just stumbling around before even realizing that we have a brand. So what is one piece of advice you wish you knew when you were kind of in that stumbling around phase that you think when you were launching your brand would have gotten you further faster?
Once you like have a business, like an actual business that's like supporting you, like you're paying your bills with the income that you're generating from your business, like it's the real deal.
Yep.
I highly, highly recommend, and I wish that I would have done this sooner, really, really taking your business seriously, like, and getting help. Chris and I have been doing the damn thing for a long time, and we've been doing it just ourselves, and it's been a lot of work. And you can grow so much faster if you start getting help from people who are smarter than you, have more experience than you, all of the above. So my advice is to hire help early on. We have honestly just started hiring help. Like I hired my business coach last year, and it's been incredible for our business. And just it's been so amazing, so helpful. Like our business has made a turnaround. Like I talked about it earlier about like our issues with profit margin and stuff like that. There's so many things, and it is impossible to do it all yourself. So hire a business coach if you need one. And also we just hired our first employee like a week ago was her first week, but she was an intern first. We've never even had interns. So we had an intern, and I cannot stress enough how incredible it's been just to like have somebody help me 10 hours a week. Like it's been a game changer. So you need to hire sooner than later.
I love that. And that is like preaching to the choir here because I mean, I tell all my like inquiries that come in where it's like, you're wearing too many hats. Like if you're not good with numbers, you hire an accountant. If you're not good with design, you hire a designer. Or like you were saying, if you're not good with like the profit margins and like keeping everything together, like hiring a business coach. It's important to seek out professionals and like trusted partners where that is their niche that they are experts in. And it's okay if you're not an expert in everything. You're not expected to be. So don't feel like you have to balance it all and wear all the hats. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, it's impossible to like at the end of 2018, I was like, our business was messy, and it really, and I'm not saying it's perfect now, but it was really messy at the end of 2018, and it was scary, and I was like, oh man, we need some help. And it's impossible to see like what's going on and what is the problem when your head's down in the weeds of everything. So to get somebody from the outside in to like look at everything, who is like, that's their thing, that's their expertise, is like so invaluable and so worth every single penny.
I love that. That makes me so happy to hear that you said that. And it's like, see guys, when I'm preaching that, I'm not just the only one. And obviously I'm coming at it from a design angle when I it like pains me when I see businesses like, oh, I'm staying late for 5 hours to like put my social media posts together. It's like, delegate that to someone. There's people who are experts in that field and you don't have to be.
Yes, 100%.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Claire, for your time. And thank you so much for friends for tuning in. Make sure you join our free Facebook group. It is called Design Support for Pet Products and Services. And there we will be posting these recaps. We'll be posting freebies, related topics to what we've talked about. Claire is also part of that group. So if you have a question, I'm sure she wouldn't mind answering it under this video. And stay tuned. Next month, we are going to be interviewing Tori Mystic of Wear, Wag, Repeat.